Or by the sound of it, anyway. We're missing something here. Correct. We're missing something. While Ginger gets her shot of caffeine, I'm gonna find something real quick before we start. Okay, Dylan, look up Ephesians 6:12 and just keep it somewhere. And then Haley can look up Mark 1:15. Mark 1:15. 12. Mark 1:15. And we'll give Christy Mark 1:15. Oh, no, sorry. We'll give Christy Daniel 2:21. And we'll give K-Run 2 Peter 3:8. All right. Anybody wants to start us off with what we covered last week?
I don't know, I wasn't here.
Sharon will not start us off with what we did last week. Huh?
Probably need to start a church.
Ginger's, we're starting a church, huh? Oh, okay, yeah, the membership.
Roll.
Huh?
Roll.
Rolls and rolls, okay. We had to have that in part of our new church that we're starting. Okay, anything else we had to have?
Constitution, missionary statement, doctrine.
Huh? Letters, yes. We biblically extracted the whole biblical backing of what a letter is for, the purpose of it, what it's supposed to do, and what we're supposed to be doing with them. What else did we go over? Anything else?
Membership.
Okay. Membership duties.
Traditions and beliefs.
Okay. Anything else you can think of? So, tonight we're going to study something for a moment. Different aspect of something that came to me recently and I've worked on and studied on some, and I use medicine a lot. I work in medicine, so I use medicine a lot, the field of medicine, to do a lot of things. But God created the human body, and a lot of our ways and things that we do and how we live and things we walk in our daily lives, how our body responds is very unique. It's just the similarities is how your spiritual life responds. And they actually are very parallel in some things that you may or may not know or realize. So first, let me ask you, if anybody can tell me what this is. Oh, we have some YouTube specials in here. Some YouTube certified cardiologists. So tell me anything you know about it. Okay, that sounds good.
4 chambers.
4 chambers, okay.
Stop your day.
Huh?
Stop beating your day.
Karen's on it now. It stops your day. There is some truth to that. Anything else?
Mitral valves.
Yeah, you got mitral valves. Anything else?
Got blood flowing. Oxygenated blood flowing in, out of it, and unoxygenated blood flowing into it.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you know? There's a lot cardiology is a crazy field just in itself of medicine, but it's quite amazing some things that we learn dealing with cardiology a lot and different things that we do. Anything else interesting you can think of that you know about the heart? So I'll just, for a second, I'll give you just some quick reference facts about this very important organ that you have inside and the muscle that you have inside of your body. First, let's go ahead and get in our mind some numbers. So every day in 24 hours, your heart has already beaten 100,000 times, ballpark, about 100,000 times a day.
How many?
100,000 in ballparks. If you're at 100 a minute and you multiply that by 60, that's over 6,000 every hour. So just ballparks. That's more than, in a lifetime, that's more than 2.6 billion times that this has pumped blood through your body. Now, Roger can tell you from very good experience that they even can be transplanted. Lois got a heart transplant. And transplanting that organ and all the stabilities that they do with that, they can retrain the body and rehabilitate the body to be able to do things once that has been transplanted. The typical human heart valve that everybody in this room has is about the size of a $50. Now, for those younger people in here, probably don't. Do you know what a $50 is? It's not 50 cents. Okay, it's not 2 quarters. Anybody know about how big is a $50? Jimmy's measuring. In Virginia, it's about this big. And in Kentucky, Karen says what? It's right about that. Okay. All right. Every minute. Now let's think. We're still on that. Every minute, your heart is pumping about 1.5 gallons. Every minute. Every 60 to 90 seconds, your body can completely circulate the entire volume of blood, 6 to 8 liters, in your body. Every 60 to 90 seconds, it has completely cycled everything through it that's in your body. All of your main stem circulation, your collateral, everything that you've got goes through that. If you want to know a child's heart size, it's going to be about the size of their fist. And a human adult heart is typically about the size of 2 of them. So if you take your 2 fists, put them together, you can see about the size, the typical size of your heart. Sharon's got a big one, she says. She's looking it over there. It also comes to interesting to the fact that it weighs about, I think it's 8 to 15 ounces, somewhere around there. So roughly about less than a half pound, somewhere in that, right under a pound, is about the weight of it empty as far as weight wise. And you know, a blue whale's heart's over 1,000 pounds. If we take the heart of a blue whale, which is one of the largest hearts in any creature living that has a heart, that heart is about 1,000 pounds. And in fairy flies, the smallest one that you'll ever find, you'll have to see through a microscope to see the heart of this tiny insect. But there's one thing about it. Now, one thing that is so important about dealing with what everybody in here has is coordination. This sucker has to run in coordinating manner. If it does not do so, we have serious problems ahead that's going to come down the pipe. And your heart pumps blood. I want you to think about this. Your heart pumps blood through a rough average of up to 60,000 miles of blood vessels. If I took that number, I could easily go around the Earth twice. The equator, I could go around the equator twice with the distance, volume, circulation, and length of all of your circulatory system. Every beat, you're throwing out 4 tablespoons. Every beat, your heart is pumping 4 tablespoons of blood. And all through the things that we know, do anybody know what the heart attack season is?
Winter.
You're close.
Spring.
Huh?
Like spring.
There's 2 of the deadliest days of the year. You know what they are?
Your anniversary.
Statistics haven't put that one in the top two yet. The top two most deadliest days for people in heart attacks is December 25th and January 1st. More people die on them 2 days than any other time of the year. I can attest to this. I worked Christmas Day about 3-4 years ago was my rotation up to work it. And I had 5 people die in 8 hours. Every one of them come through the door with a heart attack. Every one of them died. That very day. Don't know what happened before they got there. What is that joke about something a day may help keep the heart doctor away? Okay, we got on the apple. Okay. Why does the heart symbolize love? That's that one for a minute. Why does it symbolize love?
Because poets said so.
A lot of writing went to that at one point in time. What about the fact that have you ever heard of someone having heart cancer? No? In 23 years, I've never had a patient with heart cancer. As interesting as that may be. What's interesting is because those cells in your heart, when you become an adult, they don't divide, which then becomes so resistant that it's not able to mutate and lead to cancer. There's a lot of things that we get into. So looking at this thing that all of us have inside of us, we have a lot of things, and there's different diseases. Now, I'm not going into major medical information here, but some of you in here have already had possibly some of these diseases. Anybody in here had a blockage? Jimmy's had some in his neck. Huh? You had a blockage, yeah? Blockage, okay. So basically, cholesterol, fatty deposits build up in there, can't circulate, it's blocking circulation, getting past it. Then we've got a problem. I will show you one neat thing. Most of our heart attacks, especially on the left anterior side, the left side of the heart, all of these veins coming down the front, that's your coronary arteries. And when one of them suckers gets blocked, it's Hail Mary. When you come through the door, you're going to look like death because just one of them little fingering veins on the muscle is blocked. And when it gets blocked, you've got 90 minutes. And after 90 minutes, you lose 60% of survival. After 90 minutes. Where is the closest cath lab? I use this all the time. Where's our closest cath lab from where you live?
Probably UT.
Okay.
Fort Samuel.
Y'all would probably be Kingsport, huh?
Fort Samuel.
That can be. Tenova North is probably by ground the closest. Flight time they can go wherever, but for you all it's Corbin. From where you're at, Corbin will be the closest. But in that 90-minute window, now I want us just to look at this for a second. There's a reason we're looking at this tonight. You're going to become cardiologists by the end of the night. So, you got 90 minutes. The studies have shown and proven in medicine that after 90 minutes, if you're not getting intervention, that there is 60% chance of dying. And the reason it's so high is because once the oxygen-carrying blood can't get to the heart, it dies. And when it dies, it never grows back. There is no regrowth of heart muscle. It dies. So then when the pump can't pump and it's starting to fail, guess what happens to you? You die. So because of this, the high risk of death is so high after 90 minutes because of... Okay. EKG, you ever had one done? I'm sure those of you who've had heart work has had plenty. Plenty. I love this. I got really fascinated when I was in school, but I love cardiology because I can take that one thing and tell you almost anything you want to know about your heart's doing. And all this is doing is reading electrical current. If I hook you up to this machine, every millivolt of electricity that's running through your body, through the heart, reads, and the line changes. I had a young person 2 weeks ago, very young. He was about 16, 15-year-old boy. That passed out at school, and we went up there to check him out. And of course, obviously, Mom says, "Oh, he plays sports. He's probably dehydrated. He's fine." I looked at her and I said, "If you do not take him to the hospital because he needs surgery, he'll be dead. You will find him dead in your home. I promise you." She said, "Well, you have nothing to go by but that EKG." I said, "Well, the only thing I'm looking at is his heart, and if it fails, he's dead." So went to the ER. Sure enough, doc looks right at it, says, "Absolutely, he's got dilated cardiomyopathy," and he went straight to surgery in 2 hours. He was in surgery at 16 years old. from nothing more than just a simple reading on this. And if you look at this, this is not necessarily normal, but for everybody in the room, does this look bad?
Very.
Lowe's.
Lois did this several times, did she not? In the house, it was going off on Roger before they got to her. It shocked her how many times?
At one time about 22 times.
22 times it shocked her to attempt
Well, they got the box.
to fix this problem. So this one and even this one is bad. Now these are all some that I've used because I've had these patients so many times. But you see that the faster things get, the more worse they seem to look, and the more they seem to look very, very bad. All problems that we deal with all the time. People have these issues all the time, right here where we live, all the time. But I want to ask you some questions before we go into what we're going to study tonight. Just openly tell me what comes to your mind when I ask you some questions, because we're talking about the heart, what it does, how it works. We see that we can take a simple thing and look at the heart and know a lot about what it is and is not doing and where the problem is located and how we know what's going on to potentially fix. So my first question for everybody tonight is, what kind of thoughts occupy your mind these days? When can I go home? Huh? What's your thoughts? What is the kinds of thoughts that occupy your mind on a daily basis?
Intrusive.
Huh?
Intrusive.
Intrusive thoughts. Okay. Any others? Just tell me what runs through your mind. Your what kind of thoughts occupy the old average mind every day?
Most days. Why are these people driving like this?
Well, that's probably very common. That's probably very common.
Why are you going 40? That's not.
Yeah.
I was playing that same thing today.
Yes. And at work it's, why are you stupid?
That can
Why
be
are you
another one.
calling?
What? Tell me, you all got quiet for a minute. I'm gonna start calling you out. I'm gonna go around this room if you don't answer. What thoughts run through your mind on a daily basis, average? What thoughts?
How many assignments do I have?
Roger's thoughts are, I need a piece of cake.
Yeah.
I need a donut. That's what he's thinking. Although he won't do it, huh? What thoughts run through your mind on average every day? Give me some
Get
examples.
stuff done.
Huh?
They get stuff done.
What I've got to get done. What needs to be done today. That's a good one. What else?
How can I put that stuff off?
How can I get rid of doing that stuff today and not do it? Anything else that runs through and occupies your mind? Now, the key word here is occupies our minds.
I never stopped talking.
Courtney's already thinking about the next insurance quote she's going to get on her car insurance. It's been 2 weeks. She's going to see if anybody's got it cheaper.
I think she's thinking about each other.
Peach cobbler? Could be. But what thoughts, think about it. What kind of thoughts run through your mind? Give me some examples. What runs through your mind? Roger's thinking of the yards he's got to mow and when he's going to do them. What else runs through your mind? Anybody?
Study.
Huh?
Study.
You studying? Okay. What else? We apparently have a room full of no thinking.
I guess except for me.
Apparently, somebody in here has found something that completely stops your brain from thinking.
That's not.
We'll study that organ later, huh?
I'm over.
Overthinking. Continuously thinking about what?
Anything.
Anything comes to mind. Your brain's rambling all over the place.
Like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, what? You know, like, I don't know.
Anybody else? Something? What just kinds of thoughts occupy your mind? Anybody else got something to throw in the mix here? No?
Am I forgetting what I need to do?
I was waiting on that one. Somebody was going to say there was something I was going to do today.
That's what serious
Do not
is.
remember what it was. Then they focus on that all day long. What was it I was going to do? Does it ever come back?
Sometimes
Sometimes. Sometimes it don't.
at the wrong time.
Oh, at the wrong time. So then my next question is, since we've established all this mind busyness that we've got going on, then I want to know in your thoughts, how often in a day do you think of your future
No.
and the hope in your future? Or
Hope no.
flip the picture and ask who you can bless or who has blessed you. How often does that thinking run through your mind?
Some.
Some? A lot of times something will proctor you to think about it or come to your mind, doesn't bring it up. Something will come to your mind, you'll think about it, things that you go through. Now, my next question to you is, do you spend more time thinking about what you don't have than praying prayers of thanksgiving about what you do have? How much you think people does this?
A lot.
But I'm very thankful for what he's given me.
Absolutely. But how many people do you think spends more time thinking about what they don't have?
Probably 75 to 80% of those people.
Majority. Even very majority. Does anybody in here know how to determine the condition of somebody's heart? Does anybody know? I learned this from experience, never from medical training. And it's very simple once I tell you. Does anybody know how to tell the condition of somebody's heart?
I've always heard if you get them drunk. I would not know because I'm a Baptist, I don't drink. So.
Yeah. Well, that would be lie detecting.
Okay.
How they treat other people.
Okay. Anybody else got any idea how that you determine somebody's heart condition?
Their appearance.
Do what? Ask them if they've been saved. Okay. What? What'd you say?
Their appearance.
Their appearance? Okay.
If you mean their actual heart condition, it'd be a
Not medically.
EKG.
Not medically.
He's
Not medically.
spiritual, I guess.
Just in general. How do you know the condition of somebody's heart? Just so simply. It's one simple thing. All you got to do is have a conversation in your own head. Before you ever ask anybody else, the first thing, the conversation that goes on in your own head tells you a lot about the condition of your heart. But then when you talk to somebody else in conversation and learn what's on their mind, you then learn the condition of their heart. And it always comes to a question, and I always ask this question. If everybody know in the room, and don't tell any names, but do you know somebody that you will not ask how they're doing? Because if you do, you'll be there an hour later. You know people like that? There's a lot of them. That you will not ask them how they're doing. Or how have you been? Courtney can tell you working in medicine. Christy can tell you working. We don't ask those questions. We be very careful with that question. It can be bad. But
you get a phone call. You have a phone call.
Yes. Yes. But if we know our own condition of the things in our head, the things that we're running through thoughts in our minds, and the things we think about every day on average, and all the stuff that goes on and we think about and we deal with and everything else, I always thought about the fact of why do we not do something about it? If we already have a mind problem, and we already have a problem with our thought process and our thinking of what we think throughout the day and what we have got in our mind and in our conversation through the day, why do we not do something about that and change that? You think about what is the one easy thing that can derail you off track in your pursuit of God that is so easy that just derails you? What is something simple that happens real easy in your life that can derail you quickly?
What's that? Illness, sickness,
Okay.
depression,
Huh?
family.
Okay.
Some kind of stress.
One of the big things that comes is something that's an offense to you, like the hurt from somebody else. Somebody does you wrong. Something angers you. That can take you off the train tracks of pursuing God faster than anything. Now, once you get mad, it's real easy to get mad. For Jimmy, it's greatly easy to get mad, but it's not so easy to get unmad, as I'll call it. And disassemble the anger problem and de-escalate it. And I always come to the thought of the fact it's so easy for us to just get thrown off, just thrown off the rails from our pursuing God and everything that we do, that we start being in need. Okay? And I'm going to give you some examples before I go any further, as this just comes to my mind. In church in 2026, how much emotion do you see carried out in a church service? How much emotion do you see carried out in a church service?
Well, are you in a Methodist church or Pentecostal?
Wherever you're at, you think about it. Wherever you're at, how much emotion do you see? And I'm not talking about from one person, not pastor or whoever. I'm saying the body in a church service. How much emotion do you see in a church service?
I think it's a pretty good lot, probably 20%.
It's going to depend on a lot of factors, situations, but in general, there are less expressive people expressing anything. What comes out of our mouth comes from where? The heart. And what ponders on the heart? The mind. So the heart, here we are with a conditional problem. If the mind's cluttered and clouded and fogged up with all these busy thoughts and things we're thinking of and go, then that's easily telling the condition of our heart and what condition we're in. And one of the things when you have a heart problem is the need of an intervention. You know, this verse right here, very simple. We use this a lot. But I want to quote one thing about it. The easiest thing to learn is that our faith pleases God. Without it, it's impossible to please Him. But let's turn that in reverse. Our faith pleases God. If God is going to do something, He's looking for people with what we're going to call a great expectation. A great expectation. Let me give you some examples for a second. Luke chapter 3. We see desperate people in eager expectation to the Messiah's coming, or they're on tiptoes, as they say. And in Luke 3, they even said, as the people were in expectation, and all men mused in their hearts of John, whether he were the Christ or not, John answered, saying unto them all, I indeed baptize you with water, but one mightier than I cometh, that latcheth of whose shoes I am not worthy to unloose. He shall baptize you with the Holy Ghost and with fire, and whose fan is in his hand, and he will thoroughly purge his floor, and will gather the wheat into his garner, but the chaff he will burn with fire unquenchable. Our God, we've got to get this in our mind, since we're doing all this thinking in our thoughts of the days, is that we limit God's work. He is an all-powerful God. However, we are limiting His work in our lives when we refuse to believe His ability and His victory alone. How much different will our lives be if we live with some anticipation, and as these very recorded people were in Luke 3, expectation? They were expecting the Messiah to come. And at this point, they're trying to decide if John is even the Christ or not. How much different is your life going to be if you anticipate and actually expect something? Let me give you another part of the Bible on this very same example. In Acts chapter 3, we have an example of a lame man that is, he's lame from birth, and even though he is disabled in modern day terms, he would manage the people to get to carry him to the temple. And what was he doing when he got him to carry him up there?
Begging for alms.
Begging for money. He wanted money. His life, livelihood, his identity, all of those things revolved around his problem, his lameness. And at 3 o'clock one afternoon, there's an event that occurred that changed his life forever. What did Peter and John do? Looked on him on their way to the temple. They noticed that he's there, and they stopped and looked at this spectacle of a man. And the Bible records in Acts chapter 3 that Peter looked right at him. Now think about this. The Peter looked right at him, and the lame man gave him his attention, expecting to receive something from him. And one of the best things about that is that the rest of this is history. The lame man is instantly healed, as the Bible records that his feet and ankles were strong. After he has activated his faith by believing and his miracle he has received, then, because of this great expectation that he is actually thinking he's getting money, because they come over to give him attention, and he's expecting to receive something. Now, Peter and John and James, they're all going over there, and they say that, what do they say? Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, give I thee. Okay. Now, when he got up, I want you to think about it. He could have got up and went anywhere he wanted to go. If he wanted to leave there and go get something to eat, he could have walked off. If he wanted to go back home, he could have got up, packed his things he brought, go back to the house. He could have went anywhere that he wanted to go. But instead, the Bible records that he went with Peter and John where? And what was he doing? Leaping. He was jumping and praising God. He experienced something that we are going to begin studying, and we're going to look at. The lame beggar had his day, and now it's others' turns to actually use the simple act of faith. This is the problem. A man that can't even walk. All he had to do was believe, and he got his ability to walk. How simple of a thing. Belief seems so uncertain. I've decided, after just moralizing my mind on a lot of what the Bible teaches, and a lot of what we are doing right here under my eyes, that I have seen exactly what we need. I did it this week to a man, and he dang near died on me in his driveway. But after my rapid thinking intervention that I did, and it worked, he literally is already back home in 2 days. He's already back to his house. There is something that every one of us needs. And the Bible even pushes us toward it when we get there. Does anybody know anything about this picture? What is it? Huh? Uh-huh. What's it do? Back into rhythm. Anything else you know? There's a couple of things we do with this, but I'm going to give you an example of what we're studying tonight. Do you know that if your heart goes into an irregular beat, that not only does it damage it will cause seriously severe damage to the rest of the heart and organs? Matter of fact, for people, anybody here with AFib? Anybody got AFib? If you've got AFib and it goes into AFib too long, when we reset it, you'll throw the clot. And if that sucker goes to your lungs or your brain, it can kill you. So in the math of what we're dealing with, we come into things that we know as what we call in the medical term a cardioversion, but we typically convert your heart and we actually allow it to restore itself back to normal, to allow it to do naturally what it was meant to do. And I'll give you the quick information of what we're looking at when we get to looking at things. Is that I have the ability to stop your heart whether it needs to be stopped or not. I can do it real quick. I can also start it back by the same method. Just with electricity, I can start the heart, stop the heart, and allow it to start back in a normal rhythm. Once it goes into anything out of normal, out of natural rhythm, I will convert it on the spot. We're taught not to even question it. Do it. Do it, and do it quickly. You may have 3 minutes, may have 5 minutes before it's gone and it's never coming back, and we're going to go into very drastic measures. The very thing that we have a problem with in the very people that is living around us is they need their heart restarted. They need it stopped where it's at, and they need it to go back to what it's supposed to be doing. They need their heart. The hardened heart, I'll get that one, that's a good one. The Bible even talks about a hardened heart. Anybody give me an example? A heart of stone. Anything else that the Bible talks about? About the heart condition? Anybody throw a Bible example to me before we go any further? Huh? There we go. That's another good one. That heart gets so weak or hardened from the condition that it's in, it's no longer functioning as it was ever intended to do. This gentleman that I had the other day that was complaining of chest pain, when I got to him and I seen the problem, I knew we had a serious issue really quick, but there was no way I would have got him to the hospital in time. That was absolutely no way. And so immediately I went to decide to shock him, and I set the energy based off his weight and so on and so forth. And I told him what I was going to do, and he looks at me and begs me not to do it because he knows it's going to hurt. And I said, either we do it or you're very likely going to die before we get to the hospital. And he decided that was worse. So we shocked him. And within probably 40 seconds, I think I timed it on the monitor, 30 to 40 seconds, his heart was already back to normal. I could see my EKG normalizing. His body was already putting the blood back to where it was supposed to be going. His heart had went back to galloping just like it was meant to do. It had restored itself back to the state in which that it's supposed to function. We need a restart. We need the heart to stop what it's doing and stop doing the things that it's out of order irregularly doing. And we need it to restart. In Zechariah chapter 4, this part of the scripture says, He answered and spake unto me, saying, This is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. Who art thou, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel thou shalt become a plain, and he shall bring forth the headstone thereof with shoutings, crying, Grace, grace, grace unto it. Do you know that not only your medical condition causes you to have heart damage, let's look at it spiritually for a moment. When I got to thinking about the actual damage, heart damage you have spiritually, these are the top conditions that creates our problem. These are the top conditions that you and I live in a natural world, a man-made world state, of people filling our eyes and our ears and our heads full of information that's not the truth. I'm willing to even say it's not even the truth. But even the things that we carry because of what other people have done to us, how people treat others, the way people live. How many people in their day now, in families, I see this, in families, they don't even care to take care of each other. We got elderly people that their kids don't even help them. They have no help. We've got people in the church that's helping some elderly people because there's nobody that will help them. We see over time the heart conditions starting to cause some failures. These are some of our top ones that is going to lead us into issues. The hurt gets too deep. Humans get to the point of believing that the hurt gets too deep, the pain, and there's only one way to get back to normalizing and restarting the heart and get back to what we need to do. How many people have a problem with this right here? Dwelling on the past. It's amazing. Does anybody know what these are? Some of y'all should. Some may not, but some should. It's amazing to me how many people are dwelling on the past. You think about the film reels that we've got of our failures recorded in our minds, and they're running over and over and over. How easy can you come up with something right now that somebody's done to hurt you? Something somebody did to hurt you. How easy can you bring it to your mind? Bam, right there. It comes right back. If somebody's rejected you or turned you away, right there, it comes right back. Just like a toy. We can remember that better than somebody else's birthday. Things that we have experienced, right back, just like that. Things bring it back to mind. People play these failures and things that's happened in their lives, they play them over and over and over. And they think about the things. Tell me if you've ever done this tonight. Have you ever thought about the things that you wished you would have said when something happened? Yeah. Or you wished that you would have done things differently when something happened? You run that over and over. You replay that. Our computer-like minds look for some type of logical conclusion. But here's the interesting part about that. We can't reason things our way to the justice that we long for, and they're never resolved. How many people right now in this room have things that they have never resolved? Raise your hand. Everybody should raise their hand. There is something in your life that has come to you in some form, offense, injustice, whatever, that has never resolved. It's never been resolved. And this is just things to start thinking about, of how much we dwell on the past and we think about these things over and over and over. But interestingly, when a problem makes no sense on a physical level, there is something spiritual going on. Now let me think about that. What are we instructed biblically to do to those who have done us wrong?
Forgive them, pray for them.
When?
At the time that it's done.
Immediately.
When it's done. Not when revenge is sought,
Right.
or not when you've got back at them or whatever. But we're to forgive them when?
Immediately.
Right then. And then what are we supposed to do?
Pray for them.
Pray for them? And what else?
Do good to those.
Yeah, we're to do good to them. You
So
should-
doing, coals of fire.
Huh?
Bible says, in so doing, you heap coals of fire upon
Yes,
their head.
yes. In layman's terms, and we're all on the right path, that when somebody does that to us, go ahead,
Go to them and communicate the problem.
okay, and try to resolve it. If it don't work, you come back, get somebody to go with you. Yeah, you can do that. But the first thing we're supposed to do that we don't do, the first thing we're supposed to do, we forgive them, and we're supposed to keep on going. How many people stop right there? They're so mad. They're so angered. They're trying to wrap it in their heads and wrap around their minds just exactly whatever has came in their path of walk of life. That even if they do forgive, how many of them move on? Move on from it. How many people do you think does that? I've always said this to people that deal with things like that, is that leave that person to the Lord and let him deal with them. He said vengeance is his. Let him deal with them. I don't have to worry about them. I got to worry about me. Okay? And if that anger or resentment or desire of revenge or whatever else gets up in here and clouds that thought of the mind all day, and it blocks me up, I'm not moving. That causes the heart to do what? You've hardened your heart. You'll resent acting toward, if this is the way I'm going to be treated, I'll not do it again. I'll never help nobody else. I'll never do this. I'll never do that. That is a symptom of a heart condition problem. All right? What about the spiritual issues? Will not be solved by normal means and must be dealt with on a spiritual level. This one's a little different to comprehend. What do we do when something can't be resolved by physical means? What should we do spiritually?
Pray for it.
Okay?
Pray about it.
Okay, what else? Can't be resolved physically. What spiritually should we do?
Ask others to pray to.
Okay? Yeah. One of the things I always remember, and I can't remember which preacher used to say it all the time, but he says, we'll bless you going and we'll bless you coming. Or whichever way you done it. We'll bless you coming and we'll bless you going. You bless anyway. Anyway, you love anyway. You forgive and allow the Lord to go ahead and give you a better obsession. Listen, we get obsessed on the things we're mad about. Courtney will not let it go. She'll stay at work mad all day. If something happens at 8:05, she's still mad at 6 o'clock, right? She hangs on to it.
Coming tomorrow.
And tomorrow, she says. She's holding on to it extra long. Have you ever thought about the fact, yeah, but seriously, tomorrow too, maybe Saturday, you never know, but think about it for the fact. Do you know that has now got you obsessed? Your new obsession is whatever you're mad about. If we let go, forgive, forget, pray, love, bless anyway, and allow the Lord to give us a better, greater obsession, we always want a name and a face to blame. Natural speaking. If you get mad, you always want somebody to put the blame on, a face to go with it, so that we can know where we're going to direct the anger. That's the typical human way we do. But it's very common to me that Dylan has a verse that everybody has heard and read probably at some point in time that simplifies this answer. In Ephesians 6 and 12, what does that say?
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
I've had people that have done something and somebody else is now mad at them over it, and they never even knew they done it, nor did they mean harm. But that's all it took for the devil to put that in your mind. And that's your new obsession because you're mad. But that's not where the fight's at. See, Sharon could make Jimmy mad. See, every day. That's not the fight. The fight's not there. The fight is where we're getting back to the problem of the fact of our fight starts influencing everything else. Everything else in your life is now hindered and changed by what is up here and down here. When the heart is affected and can't circulate, it affects everything else. And when enough circulation is cut off from your collateral circulation of the heart, guess what happens? Nothing gets oxygen. Guess what happens? It shuts down. It does. No joke. Because you're not circulating what is needed. You're circulating nothing. Nothing that is needed. That's the problem. When we get into these places in our lives and what we're dealing with and living through, we get to this. No amount of thought or planning or worry will solve a spiritual issue or spiritual attack. You talk about memories or something that has happened and people that go over them and over them and over them again to anybody that'll listen. And how many in here has thought of ways to get revenge? You've been that mad that you've thought about how to get revenge. Jimmy's done it. Yeah. That's common. Courtney's still doing it. So, poking and prodding at a gaping wound. I always said this, when the bleeding stops, don't peel off the scab. How many people pick the scab off and go back to bleeding? Don't ask me. But listen, people do this. The same thing with their hurt, their worries, their injustice, their offenses, their anger, everything. They pull that scab right back off. We get bitter. We get hardened up on it. And then the next thing is we withhold our love from somebody else. How many times have you been mad and you shut everybody out? A bunch. You get mad and now everybody is, get away from me. I don't want nothing to do with nobody. Leave me alone. Now think about that for a minute. That is the effect of anger. That is powerful. That is something that is starting right here. When you get mad and harden your heart and you don't show love to anybody, you've shut them all off. You've put them all out, pushed them away. What about the ones that never done nothing to you? Had nothing to do with whatever the injustice was. It's our reclusive defense mechanism when we get mad, just to tell everybody, leave me alone. Don't talk to me. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me. You can spend your life looking back, like a lot of people do, or you can trust God with what you're going through and give it to Him. Now think about this for a moment. Is God blind?
No.
Does God not already know what happened?
Yes.
Does He not already know the circumstances? Somebody's in the right and somebody's in the wrong. Guess what? He doesn't know it. Supreme Court judge won't even outrule him. He doesn't know. He's not blind. You can't fix these things. But what do you think God can do? No, He can fix you. Everybody says that all the time, Roger. I can't fix it, but God can. No, God's work is in you. The Bible says that He works in us. In us. Do you think, now God has hand over everything, but what has the greater effect that God's work's going to do? Dealing with the world or dealing with one of His children? If it can't be fixed, He can fix you. What did David say that he asked God to create in him? Yeah, and what did he say? A clean heart and a righteous spirit. You know what happens when we do get rid of some problems and heart conditions that we're living with and these problems we've got where we've hardened our heart and everything else, is that when we learn that it's not going to work out by us getting revenge, we start to get to see some things just exactly how God sees it. And then we get to learn to feel things just like what God feels. And then we get to hear things just like what God hears. See, spiritual discernment doesn't come by seeking revenge and being part of wickedness in these low places and all these other things. And then the Bible says that his thoughts are not ours. His ways are what? They're not ours. They're higher. His thoughts and his ways, the Bible says, are higher. Will he give those to you? That's the question. Will God give you those higher ways and higher thoughts? What do you think? Will God do that?
Somewhat.
Huh?
Some
Some extent.
Yes. 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 But before we do that, this is always the horrible word we get into dealing with. Prepare. This is always it. Here's the problem. We want God to fill us full. We want God to say, God, take care of this. Give me peace. That's a good one. I need peace. I'm mad. I need some peace. I need some joy. Till we get to the problem. How easy it is to do that, but we're not willing to let go of it. We want to hold on to it with a leash, one hand. Let me at least keep a finger grip on it while I'm asking God to take care of it. I want God to take care of it and fix me, but I want to hold on to it over here at the same time. That's a problem, ain't it? That's a bad problem that we get. One of the first things you need to do is let it fall to the ground. Just let it completely fall without you holding on to anything completely. Do you know that in order for you to receive something in what we call your hands, the Bible even describes, in order to receive something from God new in your hands, they have to be empty. Hands have to be empty to receive new things. And guess what don't coexist in these hands? The old and the new. Because he says that if you are like lukewarm, you're what? Huh?
He said he'll spew you out.
And if you're holding on to the plow and looking behind you, what happens? What's he say then? You're not even fit for the kingdom. See, they don't coexist. Old and new does not coexist. Holding on to bitter thoughts, bitter problems, bitter things, anger, all the issues of life, everything that we contain, that we hold on to and harden our hearts up and cause conditions, it can't coexist. It cannot coexist between what God has. He says that, behold, all things are become new. But they can't coexist. We're trying to live a two-part life, we have gotten so multi-purposed and multi-tasked that now we've decided we can also do that with God. And we'll give him the things that we now have decided we can't handle. But what are we doing with the other hand? I've got a death grip on something else. I still want to seek out revenge, or I still want to seek carry. I want to see it to fruition that this person, that it comes back on. And they can't coexist in the same hands. One of the things is, what does this word mean? Okay. What else? What's the definition of this simple word? What do y'all think?
Gotta have it.
Huh?
I gotta have it.
Don't need it, but I don't.
Okay. You know that the first thing that comes up when you look this definition up is a deficiency. The very first thing that comes up when you look up the meaning of the word want is a deficiency, a defect. And in defect of deficiency, that we start looking for the absence of that which is necessary or useful. God wishes to give you a new start. Create in me a clean heart. Create in me something fresh and new. God starts doing that by healing what has been broken, reconciling what's been torn apart. Out of all those things that we go through and we live, that we go through, it's interesting that Ephesians has a verse for us, the very verse. Very common verse that we know in Ephesians chapter 3. Does anybody know how many times are listed in the first 8 verses of Ephesians chapter 3? Anybody know? Who wrote Ecclesiastes? Huh?
Yeah, the preacher,
Who's that?
that would be a Solomon.
Okay. So Ecclesiastes chapter 3, in the first 8 verses, you will count 28 specific times. Time to plant, time to sow, time to heal. All these times. There are 28 specific times. And you know what that tells me? Out of all the things that them 28 lists, and that is that the promise that God's going to bring everything to its proper time. He's going to do it in His time, His will, and His ways. But we get to the fact of the problem being that we need to restart. When I shock anybody in emergency medicine, if I shock you, how quick does it happen? It's quicker than I can turn around and look at you. If my back's to them when I push the button, it's already passed before I can turn around. It like that. That the heart is stopped, dead in its tracks. And in Ephesians 5, I'll give you 2 verses. Very common thing. That you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Doing what? Redeeming the time, because the days are evil. The urgency of now is frequently emphasized by immediate action regarding faith. And even in 2 Corinthians, I believe it is where I read that he even says that immediate actions, now is the time of God's favor, I believe is in 2 Corinthians chapter 6. And who had Mark 1:15?
I did.
Okay, what did it say?
And saying, the time is fulfilled, and the kingdom of God is at hand. Repent ye, and believe the gospel.
Repent ye and believe the gospel. The time is now at hand. Things have done been fulfilled. What is time identified in the Bible as? What does God specify that time is? Anybody know?
It's a, shoot. Was just a, I can't remember it, but it's a poem that I can hear it.
Very simple. Time is a gift from God. Time is a gift from God. You're allotted time. And you've got an appointment you're going to make one of these days when time ends. But God's granted that gift of time to us. And we are supposed to be making our best use of what time we have. You ever heard people say, what little time I've got left? That's a common saying that people in this area say, what little time I've got left. Well, that's very true. Sometimes it's a lot shorter than I think what people even realize when they get to talking about it.
What is the quote about vapor?
Life is like a vapor.
Life is like a vapor.
Yep. But all of it, time, is a gift from God. Who had Daniel 2:21? What did it say?
And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding.
God controls the time and the seasons. It don't matter what your watch says. It don't matter what MBC tells you. There's only one controlling the weather, the time, and the seasons. There is no other explanation. Scientists can give you all the proof that they've got scientifically to tell you why it's 85 degrees in March in Tennessee. But who controls it? God. There's only one controlling the time and the seasons. And then, while we have limited time, 2 Peter 3:8, what's it tell us?
Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous.
Where else does it say in the Bible, in one mind? Where else does it say in the Bible that one day with the Lord is as what?
1,000 years.
1,000 years. No comparison to time that God is in control of. That we walk and live through and go through each and every day of our walk of life that you and I go through. But how many people are right now living with a heart condition problem? We've got a lot of people with a heart problem. Not medically, spiritually. They have allowed, I tell you this, They've allowed what goes on in their life and in the church and anything else that people do around them or to them, that has now affected them more than the Bible. You know that? What they have took in with their natural eyes and ears and seen people do. Do you know, and I'll make this as plain as I can because it's straight this way, that any man that's a pastor of a church can still do wrong. Everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Absolutely. We've had plenty of them leave their wife and run off with some other woman while they're pastoring a church. Seen it, sure. Deacons, whoever it is like. Roger can tell you. He was in a church where they come after him for calling them out. That was in Michigan, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Very common thing. But you know where all of that lust and everything else is conceived? Where is it conceived? In the heart. See, that's a heart condition problem. It got there and it stayed there. That's why that the Bible instructs us that as soon as we are afflicted, let it go. Huh? Flee. Let it go. Let it go. If it's not of God, what are you doing dabbling in it? If it ain't of Godful leading or backed by the Bible, why in the devil do we have people doing it, living it? And I'll give you the easy example. A lot of people now, I found this word the other day that's called excusable absence. Did you know that churches now have an excusable absence? I didn't know this till the other day. There's churches that now have defined what is excusable to not be at church. They have this in their information to the members and whatnot, is that they have something that they call an excusable absence. Some of it I do agree with. If you're medically ill and you can't be here, that's perfectly acceptable. I do understand. But there's a lot of things on that list that I absolutely had no way to Bible back. Not my opinion. I couldn't find it in there.
Get the copy in.
Huh? I'll look it back up. I've got it at the house.
Give it to Ginger.
But trust me, there's none of it what you're thinking in there. So just go ahead and know that. But they have came up with acceptable absence. Now listen, the problems with what we're living in right now in our times, and we are exposed to very, very vast beliefs, theories, thinking, and everything. But yet, magically, this right here has not changed. And magically to me, or not magically, but it's very circumstantial that people have decided somewhere in their heart that it's different. There's a difference. See, there's some type of change occurred that now it's acceptable and okay and all these things. I'll give you an easy example, as we've talked about it before. When someone comes in and says, I want to join the church, but when you put me on the roll, put me down as a lion because I am not a male or a female. I want to be identified as a lion. Okay. Confusion comes in right there. Confusion comes in right there. So easy. People's response to that. See, you're now affected by that. You see how one little simple craziness comes into the door, and now you're affected by that. And immediately people, I know a lot of people would say, I'm not having nothing to do with that. Don't get me near them. I wouldn't have nothing to do with that. Who is supposed to love them more? Thank you. Who is supposed to show them the right way? Thank you. See, I should not be affected by that. That should not whatsoever draw me to something, to even think about doing it. But what it should draw me to do is to help lead them to the truth to correct their problem. The less of what we're doing, the less. We're doing a lot less correcting the problem. It's not my job to tell you my opinion. It's my job to tell you what this right here says. That's it. That's all I can do is tell you what this says. But if I don't never tell you what it says and you're not reading it, you're free flying, double-minded, just rolling right along, walking around with a blockage in the heart that's going to kill you. You will spiritually die if you separate yourself too much from the Word. What happens when we're not connected to the vine? You die. That's very simple. When we bear no fruit, what happens? You die. It's death. So think about tonight the fact of the first thing that we need to do, and honestly, it's across the board, everywhere you go, everything we see and do, everybody needs to restart their heart. We need a reset. We need to restart the heart, stop it right where it's at, and its function, its condition, and the things that we've got going on with our hearts. We need to stop it, just dead in its tracks. Stop it. And let it go back to what it was intended to be. And let it do what it was intended to do. But we've put all this other in there. We've got all this other stuff clogging it up and blocking it. And it's not providing good flow by no means. No flow. Joy, peace, happiness, all those things. The fruits of the Spirit that comes through, all the things that's considered in the Bible. There's very little of that coming out in the churches right now. Because they've hardened their heart to where that they're not going to move. They're not going to let it go. That's the first problem of our condition. So we've got to look at this tonight as something as we call a self-examination, self-check, questionnaire, and decide that we ourselves need to restart the heart. We need a complete reset and start this thing over from ground zero. Anybody else got anything tonight?
You're saying we need revival.
Huh?
You're saying we need revival.
No, I'm not saying you need revival.
We do.
It won't do it. Revival won't do that. You can preach till you're blue in the face. And until that person lets go and gives it up and lets go, that does not change. I have been through plenty of revivals that nothing happened. Hard-necked, stiff-necked people. That's what the Bible called them. They were stiff-necked.
The Bible also says,
Seek out the old paths and walk therein, and the people said what? We will not. Do what?
the Bible also says, end of time, falling away at the church.
Yes. Absolutely.
What is happening?
You see it. And it continues. It has been, but it continues.
It's getting worse.
Yes. But before we get to revival, Roger, and before we get anything to revival, just think about this for yourself, or anybody else in the room, is that we all need revival. Yes, I'm not disagreeing with that. But until we identify our own condition and where we're at, we ain't going nowhere. It ain't going nowhere. The lack of knowing what this book says and lines us up with what our condition is and where we're at is going to take more than 7 nights of church. Is that all right? 7 nightly services and somebody preaching for an hour? No. That's why everybody's right back to like they were 3 months later. That's why you go in these churches that's had a revival. Same condition 3 months later. They went right back. Habitual use of a condition. That's not the answer. True change. True conversion. Huh? Absolutely not. But people believe it is. There's also people that believe that if somebody gets saved, that salvation is part. Not until we get in travail. The Bible even says, till the church gets in travail. There's a condition we have to get to before there's a birth. But people got this hardened condition, and they've lived with this. People that have smoked for 40, 50 years, they've lived with that heart condition. They notice little about it until one day when they can't breathe. And one day when they flop to the floor of a heart attack. And now there has to be an intervention. See, it's chronic. It's a chronic thing we're living with and dealing with in our lives. But it's not going to change until we do it, until we make the call and the decision to do it, and the reset, and restart our hearts